Then friends, let's start the newspaper reading of 3rd June 2024. Today we have the first news is that with big wins, ruling parties back in power in Arunachal and Sikkim. Friend, as recently the state assembly election has been take place in Arunachal Pradesh and in Sikkim. In Arunachal Pradesh, the capital of Arunachal Pradesh is Itanagar, which is a border state sharing border with the Bhutan, China and Myanmar. Has the BJP one of the single largest party with 46 state seats. And in Sikkim, the Sikkim Democratic Front got one seat, and the Sikkim Krantikari Morcha clean sweep with the 31 seat in Sikkim. That is the transfer of power and a tectonical shift in the power. And in 4th of June, the result of and the outcome of 18th Lok Sabha election will came out, and is remain to be seen which party come into the power. But vote like whichsoever party come into the power, the ultimate aim is to serve the interest of India and Indian people. Move on to the next. This news is that the survey predicts BJP win, a rise in vote share for Congress too. According to the survey that's so far done by the political analysts and political news and TV channels, that say that the BJP is going to come into the power again with the increasing vote share of Congress. As for the exit poll, the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi claim that these are the manipulated and drive the agenda of Mr. Modi. Friend, this is the important news that Delhi may turn into desert if deforestation is not checked as High Court. With these efforts and with this phase, the Delhi environment and the Delhi heat wave is witnessing is like case Delhi into the trouble, because the High Court take this initiative, and in their observation they just direct the environment authorities that if deforestation is not take place, then the Delhi will be in the desert, or the whole city will be left alone. This highlight that the problem of deforestation, heat wave is, and the global warming is going to be increased in upcoming years. We should prepare for that, plant more number of trees as we can to mitigate the impact of climate change, and perform our duty toward the environment, toward the nature, toward the earth. This news is from the 6 miners being tracked down from Jharkhand to Delhi rescue. Recently, the Jharkhand police with the having Chhattisgarh police tackled down the 6 miners being trafficked from the Jharkhand to Delhi. And I have a question for you, that under which article the trafficking of human trafficking is not permitted in India, and this child and minor trafficking has a huge impact in the India's. Lot of girls and lot of children have been disappear, and they just not get back their home, and we just have a little address this issue. This issue need more focus, and where in this today newspaper we also come across the case of baby theft. These kind of things that raise question in the law and order authority, as well as to the mindset of the people who involved in this. The best way to deal with them is make sure and be vigilant nearby, and whatever we just share with the authorities to in this case also the with the awareness of co-passenger. These 6 girls are get liberation for this trap. This is also a wonderful initiative, and the article of the Hindu. In this Education Plus, the author mentioned about that the climate change is the concept that should be taught to the teachers, not to the student. And with the help of teacher, we can have believe that the the level of influence the teacher enjoy over the student is very constructive role to play in the mitigation of impact of global warming, and like making student more dutiful toward their environmental duty. Apart from that, the author is talking about his efforts of contributing in creating a separate column for environment in a newspaper. And like again, the environment, the duty of individual toward environment, making greenery, making the mitigation of making the pact and actions to mitigate the climate change and global warming is the responsibility of everyone, and we should follow this responsibility with wholeheartedly. Again, in this news, the post-election violence of Naida and Sandeskali, the blame game on each other. This is the serious issue in India after the post-election violence and the transfer of power is significantly raising questions in a selective area like in West Bengal or in Sandeskali. For a pluralistic democracy like India, it's need to be mitigate and minimize this kind of accidents. This is the case. 650 held so far for the post poll violence in Andhra Pradesh SIT chief. That kind of action are very fruitful and set an example for the people who involved in this post election violence and like behave in a manner that their whole law and order are in their pocket, and this kind of strong actions are very much needed in society, and somewhere these are have supporting these actions, the convict of these actions are have supporting of political parties in a way, if any member of parliament or party involved in such kind of things, then the action definitely should be taken upon to them also. That kind of actions like help common man to believe in the their choice and free elections of that area. This is the first cracker show that has been celebrated on 2nd June 2024 because on this day Telangana was formed from the Andhra, and I have a question for all of you, that which is the first state that has been created on the base of linguistic in 1953 by the strike of Potti Ramlu. I think many of you have got the answer. This article is about the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh into the Tamil Nadu, into the Telangana, and the resource bifurcations. And this is talk about the election should not prompt politically to bring consensus on foreign policy. It is like a good article to read. In this, it talk about the foreign policy, international ties with the Sri Lanka and with the neighbor first policy, and like our have hostile neighbor China and dealing with China. It talk about the nib in the bud. Both supply and demand side of baby trafficking need to be stopped, and it is a topic in which deep down that why the need and why is supply, who is supplying, and how we can mitigate the chances of baby kidnapping or baby trafficking. We can reduce the barrier to adopt a child legally, and this article is talk about in the favor of like removing baby trafficking. This is the article that you should read about and think. In this article, the author Jia ul Slam, he mostly talk about the Muslim and the minority, like talking about the largest minority of India, that is Muslim. He talk about totally what is the aesthetics, what is the dynamic about the Muslims that has changed from the past to the now. And according to this article, only the political representative of Muslim can make better policy regarding the Muslims and others. Like they just portraying the communal angle in this, and in such kind of concept follow, then this argument will be valid for all the minority. Next day the Sikhs, and another day the Jains will come into the like demand that they need their own representative in their parliament and in their state assembly. I think the democracy is a way which is more centering toward the believing in their leadership, and to make welfare society welfare policy, it is not necessary that the representative of your caste is to be go to the above level, or the representative of your religion should be held elected from a selective constituency. Rest you read yourself and like share your opinion with me, what you think about this. These two articles also about the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh, and this article is also good. It talk about the fewer women are being hired for leadership positions. The overall increment of women in participation as of decade is increased, but for 2024 it's decreased slightly, and in this year 2024, the if we consider that 26% is the increment and 18.3% is in on the senior leadership position, that like need to be increased for better governing and making the 50% of our economy, 50% of our population's constructive use. Swelter heats trigger rise in India power consumption. Friend, as the heat and the summer rises, the power consumption is increased in India, which is around 156.31 in billion unit. You imagine that how much power consumption is increased in India, which account in percentage around 15%. That is the huge number, and the energy that we generate mostly from coal. In a way, again the climate change is impacted, and the vicious circle of increasing temperature is carry on. We need to break it, and how we can break that continuous cycle with the help of making implementation of guideline like afforestations, using the removing the plastic from home, using the clean and green fuel, using the technology that are sustainable, and working and using as per our need, not per as our greed. Move on to the next news is about height of ash column produced by Mount Abu erupt. Mount Abu is a volcano that is situated in Indonesia, and it is 1600 feet. Mount Abu in Indonesia erupt again and sweep things grey ashes and dark cloud of 700 meters, around 1600 feet into the air. My question, there is a volcano which is called as the lighthouse of Asia, lighthouse of Europe. Tell me the name of that volcano, and move on to the next. On two proposal which lead to the amendment to the IHR, the 77th World Health Assembly agreed to package of amendment to the International Health Regulations 2005 based on proposal made by member countries. And this is the very good argumentative topic. Does inequality lead to the growth? And it has chance to be in this kind of topic in the upcoming exam of UPSC, or assistant commandant, or in the general topic of debate. Rahul Gandhi's statement of regarding redistribution and polarizing rebuttal of Prime Minister Narendra Modi have brought the topic of inequality to the forefront. Like, what is the wise inequality, how it impact the decision making and the policy formation of a country, how the rich are getting rich, how the poor are getting poor. This talk about this concept and the government policy of redistributions and the tax, the established fact between the inequality of rich and versus poor. Move on to the next. The politics of womanhood from abstinence to the abortion. Is talk about the women on or right on their body, their choice, and this is again in news. Most like this Joe versus Red case starts from the U.S. to the now women demanding their uh, and and the abortion ban join the fight. This kind of campaign they are running for their individuality and their freedom on their body. Move on to the next. Modi review 100-day agenda for new government. Despite the result is not coming, he is very much confident about the result and planning for 100-day agenda for new government. And in that he talk about let us dedicate next 25 years for Viksit Bharat, say Modi. Ensure safe movement of EVM control unit. The opposition leader of ND Alliance come together to have confidence in the election system, and they just say be prepared and like watchful during the movement of EV control units. And let's talk about in here in detail that common man chief minister bags second state win in the Sikkim, and these the things. In fight against Nipah, scientists find a new way to generate virus like practical particles in lab. And Tamil Nadu heavy rain lashes Tiruchi Uti part of Sivaganga. It create problem as the irregularly district administration has formed 42 team across 6 zones for rescue and rehabilitation effort amid the rain spill. It's like South Africa ANC to start coalition talks with the other parties to form government. Right now the government in which is the former government of Sri Lanka has lose their voting percentage. Now they just believing into having coalition and to form the government again. Recently the election take place in the Sri Lanka in South Africa also, and China like it's news from China, and China probe successfully landed on the far side of moon to collect sample. Friend, it is we have to be accept that the country like China is very much advanced in the space exploration. They just working on their defense manufacturing, defense indigenizations, and their space explorations is very much hard and competing with the US NASA's and the European space agencies. We being an Indian, we have to be compete with the space agency of China and make sure that we do utmost effort to make make ISRO a great success. Although ISRO is very much in forefront in their field as compared to the budget and the supporting, they just doing a remarkable job. But we need more startup like Agnikul and Space Antrix like that. Like in the US is what Elon Musk is doing. We need such kind of people more in India to take robust advantage of defense and the space exploration market of India. And another news is from China, as China ready to forceful stop Taiwan independence while addressing a Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore. That is a dialogue for their open discussion among the top military, bureaucratic and politicians in Shangri-La dialogue. They just express their opinion that the Chinese People Liberation Army has always been an indestructible and powerful force in defense of the unifications. He talk about that we are ready for the confrontation with the US, and they just committed to the unification of Taiwan island with the mainland. This remains to be see how they do, and the after the Taiwan who will be the next who face the aggression and expansions of China. And friend, due to monsoon flood, land slip kill 14 in Sri Lanka, school shut. Friend, this is news about the North Korea and South Korea. In this news, North Korea's dictators just use a different kind of warfare in which they just put different kind of threats in balloon with the provocative messages and manipulating messages targeted toward the South Korea, in which they manipulate their population, and that populations, that is a like modern psychological warfare that the North Korea is doing with the South Korea. And they just South Korea just ban these things, but that is not the permanent solution, as the information warfare or psychological warfare become a new part of the warfare in modern day. So this is Tonga volcano could cause unusual weather for the rest of the decades, and it is a underwater volcano. The eruption created tsunami, which triggered warning across the entire Pacific Basin and sent sound wave around the globe multiple times. It also talk about the cloud of a volcano consists sulfur as an constituent, and this sulfur dioxide turned into the sulfur aerosol, which send sunlight back into the space that block the heat of coming toward the earth. But that phenomenon took place for a temporary base. As sulfur dioxide change into the sulfur aerosol, it will bring the normal. That's from my side. See you soon. Jai Hind.